The last section in chapter 23 is about transport in plants, how things get from one place to another. We talked in the last section about how water evaporates. That's the process of transpiration, evaporation through the open stomata. And those cell walls will then begin to dry out in the leaf. These dry cell walls draw water from cells deeper inside the vascular tissue so that water is pulled up through xylem. So it's working sort of like a straw. The hotter and drier the air and the windier the day, the greater amount of water lost, and the more water plant draws up from the roots. So in order for liquid to move through a straw, it has to exit the top. Here's an analogy that's sort of creepy. A chain of clowns are tied together and climbing a tall ladder. When the first clown reaches the top, he falls off. That pulls the clowns behind him up and over the top. This is similar to what water molecules do. So as water molecules are exiting the leaves through transpiration, they pull up the water molecules behind them. And remember, water molecules stick together through the phenomenon of cohesion. Cohesion is especially strong because of water molecules and their hydrogen bonds that are formed with each other. Water molecules can also adhere to other surfaces, which is an adhesion is attraction between unlike molecules. The tendency of water to rise in a thin tube is called capillary action. Capillary action is possible because of the adhesion to the walls of the tube and then the cohesion of water molecules with one another. The thinner the tube, the higher the water will rise inside it, as you can see here. The thinnest tube has a water level that rises the most. We talked about how xylem tissue is composed of tracheids and vessel elements that form these tubes, like pipes, like a network of pipes. These tubes are lined with cellulose cell walls to which water adheres very strongly. When transpiration removes water from the exposed walls, strong adhesion forces pull in water from the wet interior of the leaf. That pull is so powerful that it extends all the way down into the soil. So that's how xylem transport happens. Phloem transport is called the pressure flow hypothesis. So sieve tube cells can use active transport, moving from low to high concentration, to move sugars from their cytoplasm into the sieve tube itself. Water will follow by osmosis. We talked about this with root uptake of water and nutrients. And this creates pressure in the tube at the source of the sugars, which is in the leaves. If another region of the plant has a need for sugars, they're actively pumped out of the tube and into the surrounding tissue. And then water leaves via osmosis, which reduces the pressure. So what we see with the pressure flow system is flow of nutrient-rich fluid from the sources of sugars, which are in the leaves, to places where sugars are used or stored, which are the sink cells in the roots and in the stems. This gives plants flexibility to respond to seasons. In the growing season, sugars from the leaves are directed into ripening fruits or into roots for storage. When the growing season ends, the plant drops its fruit and stores nutrients in the roots only. When spring is coming, phloem cells in the roots pump sugars back into phloem sap and raises the sugars into stems and leaves to support rapid growth.